Hello and welcome to Frugal Over 50. I'm Amy and I'm so happy that you're here with me today. On Frugal Over 50, I report to you my journey to become more frugal, more minimal, and more intentional in every part of my life. And today is no exception. I want to give a brief talk. I'm trying to do this in just one take about how I went about my April budget. Now, in previous budget reports, I have talked to you about how my budget went based on 4 categories that I used in a cash envelope system. And each week, I would give myself a certain amount in each of these 4 categories. And I would talk to you about food, household, gas, and miscellaneous. Well, the world has changed and my spending priorities have changed. And where I want to focus on cash envelope and that sort of mindset has also changed. And I want to talk to you about how that has worked in April. Specifically, I continued to fund food and household, and I spent about what I expected to spend there. In fact, my spending was pretty much in line with an average month in any other situation. That didn't change very much, and I was pleased about that because some things there were shortages of and I had to buy a more expensive version, or some things I had to get something different. You just never know when you have to change what you're doing because of shortages and changes in supply. But those categories were about what I expected. In gas, I didn't fund anything and I filled the tank once using my gift card, which is still left from a previous month. So I'm ahead there and doing pretty well. Miscellaneous, I didn't fund at all. I didn't feel like anything merited getting a miscellaneous fund. All right, one take. It's hot here. I need a drink of water. You're gonna get to see it too. Welcome to drinking water in Hawaii. Very refreshing. So, given that after a year of reporting to you on my cash envelope in those 4 categories, I feel pretty comfortable with how I'm spending and how to keep spending where I want it and then really cut back if I want to. I felt pretty good. There were some things that didn't get spent that ordinarily do, things that I don't report to you on usually, like school lunches. That comes from a separate category. Didn't spend any money on school lunches. And yet the family food budget didn't change that much. And that, I think, is to the credit of all the cooks in the house. We have 3 now, and I think that we're doing quite well. Another thing I didn't spend on was dance lessons, which was kind of sad. They're going to start a new online dance program, and that will be good, and then I'll be paying for dance lessons again, so I'm happy about that. But that was kind of a sad thing not to spend money on. Piano lessons continued online and I spent there. These are things that I don't generally report to you on, but these were really sort of in the forefront of my mind in the month of April. Additionally, I started thinking about things that I need to save for, things that are coming up in future months. And I set a whole separate set of categories in my You Need a Budget program in YNAB. And I called it Big Stuff with Savings Goals. And I have, I think, 5 categories in there. I'm not going to tell you what they all are because these categories will probably change as I am saving. But YNAB allows me to actually set a target date goal for something that I'm saving for. And then it tells me how much I need to put aside every month from now until that target date so that I am all set. I am focusing on this very heavily right now, much more so than my former 4 categories of cash, because in both January and February of this year, I had to really reduce my budget around everything except for a couple of really big expenses that came up that should not have been a surprise. And then one that was a surprise, it was going to be a surprise no matter what. So that's how that went. And I was like, I don't want to do this again. So I was able to receive a decent tax refund. I was very pleased. And then I was fortunate enough to also get the stimulus check that a lot of people are talking about. And I decided to use that to fund my mortgage payment up 2 or 3 months ahead, not paying it ahead because that's not possible in my situation, but just holding it aside so that I already know I have the cash for that. And additionally, in my Big Stuff with Savings goals, I set very generous target date amounts and dates so that I could go ahead and start now saving up for those things. And I am feeling pretty good because My usual cash envelope allotment amounts didn't change, even though I didn't monitor them too much. And in fact, I could say they did pretty well because we were home more and eating at home almost exclusively. So that's pretty good. And I was able to use money that I had that was like windfall money, and use it to plan for big spending things that are coming up in the next several months. And so what I have to report to you about April is that although the world has been very uncertain, and I do not honestly know entirely what the future of my job will be, I do believe that I'll be able to be working throughout the next year, but I have already gone ahead and calculated what happens if we get a pay cut, because that's possible where I work, and what happens if I were to get laid off, a slightly less possible thing, but always possible. So I have gone ahead in the month of April and calculated how we would go about paying all of our bills and saving for future bills on a reduced pay with the amount of pay cut that's been announced that might happen. And if I had to go on unemployment, how would we do then? And in both situations, we would be okay. Now, how would we do long term? That would be something that I would have to figure out once that happened. But at the moment, we wouldn't be in a state of catastrophe. I know that's not true for everybody, and if it is true for you, my heart really goes out to you. I want you to know, most of you who are watching this are much more experienced with budgets and with planning for finances than I am. And I want you to know how much I appreciate you joining me on this journey, because this is the first time that I have faced this kind of financial possibility and been smiling and genuinely at peace and not terrified at the possibility. And it's all down to you folks being willing to come along with me on this journey. When I was doing this by myself for a few years before I started the channel, I still felt pretty lonely, and I didn't have the kind of success that I've had this past year. So I want to say thank you, not just for how things have gone in April and for the fact that I knew I was going to talk to you, so I needed to keep honest and keep moving forward, but also for everything that's happened in the past year and how you have been with me and been supportive. I look forward to keeping these monthly budget reports going and maybe continuing to change what I report on. Sorry, I had to cut out there. I just lost my train of thought, but I'm back. And I want to tell you, I'm so glad that you are here, and I'm already looking forward to seeing you again in the next video. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.